these off, I guess. What do you say, gloves? I think the gloves. You want to ask him if you wanted the gloves off?
Okay.
Because Bill said something about taking the gloves off or something else. I'll verify it.
Do we know which one? Is the one off?
Can you take your sunglasses off? Get it off for me. There you go.
Can I get a cup of water?
Definitely. I think we all need it. Yeah, definitely. For sure. Whenever the local guys come back, I know where it's at. We'll get some. Perfect. Good time. Thank you.
Here you go, Mr. Garner. Be right with you.
Pardon? Oh, we're going to see one more time. We're just going to make sure you got nothing else in your pockets.
Sure.
Handcuffs. Well, because we weren't there.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Thank you so much. Just some loose change, I guess.
Yeah, you can check all my pockets. I have my ID cards.
Looks like just your ID cards, as you said. Nothing there, nothing waistband at all.
Nope.
Sounds a little silly, but
No, it's okay. You got to do what you got to do.
thank you so much. We appreciate it.
I can walk around with weapons, and
All right, thank you so much.
you can check down here too.
Yeah, I know they did that. So, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not a law. I don't break the law, man.
We appreciate it.
No. Yeah.
I have one.
Oh. You want another one? There you go.
Yeah, please. All right. Mr. Garner, I know this is a lot, and a lot's happened in the last just hour. Are you okay first?
Well, I'm just trying to be calm so
I
I
got
got my
you.
blood pressure,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, I get you. But I mean, cuffs, I mean, okay? No injuries with your wrist or anything like that?
Nothing.
Okay. So as we mentioned, we talked this morning, but we didn't get to talk about everything. And we'd like to talk to you again. I know you have a lot of questions, and we do too. So we'd like to see if you want to do that. But you now are in custody, obviously, so you have rights that we need to read to you so you can make a decision on us having a conversation or not. Okay? So, Jen?
All right, so I'm just
Okay,
going to read them to you.
My name's Bill again. Jen, I don't know, with everything going on, if you forgot. But.
You ready? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to have an attorney present now or at any time during questioning. If you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you without cost. If you talk to us, you have the right to stop answering questions or speak to an attorney at any time. Do you wish to speak to us?
Yes.
So what I need to do is just sign right here for me.
I don't have my glasses.
Oh, your glasses are in the car. Can you see the line? The top, yep, that one.
It's pretty upsetting, you know, it's crazy.
I have to think that at some juncture, it has to be a little relieving. Like, are you feeling any relief?
Relief for what?
Relief that after all this time that we're finally coming to talk to you?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. So you're familiar with the case we came and talked to you about earlier today?
I'm not familiar with anything you talked to me about today.
All right. Well, we came to talk to you today about the murder of Pamela Cahanas from 1984. She was a recruit on the Navy base. She graduated on a Friday, and on Sunday morning she was found deceased in Sanford, Florida, dumped in a yard. Okay. So obviously it's been a long 34 and a half years, but the case has been worked consistently since 1984, jointly between Seminole County Sheriff's Office and NCIS. Obviously, we have evidence against you as to why we have an arrest warrant for you and why we're here. So we just want to talk to you and see if you still want to maintain that you have nothing to do with this investigation, that you have nothing to do with this homicide?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
That's basically what I was saying this morning. I have no idea what you're talking about in terms of anything that's happened on that base.
Okay. Well, I can't say that it happened on the base, okay? Because she was found in Sanford, Florida, dumped in a yard of an abandoned house, a house for sale that was vacated at the time. So I can't say that it happened on the base. I can't say that it happened right there in Sanford, Florida, but somewhere more than likely between the base and Sanford, Florida is where it happened. She was strangled and somewhat beat up and left in the side yard where a neighbor found her on Sunday morning when he was leaving for work. So you're probably asking what evidence we have.
I don't know what kind of evidence you have. I don't know what's going on, period.
Okay.
It's just when I walk out the door, I mean, you guys come in this morning and started talking about something, 30 years ago. I can't remember things that happened 10 years ago.
Okay.
So
well,
I don't have any.
The picture we showed you of the girl earlier, Pamela Cahanas, which I'd like for you to look at again. I mean, is there a chance that you just, you've blocked it out of your memory from this amount of time?
I can't remember anybody.
You've had a relationship with her?
I don't know anybody. I wouldn't have had a relationship with her. I was involved in a relationship at the time.
Okay, so let me just ask you this, and don't take this the wrong way.
Sure.
Would you have, in 1984, would you have dated a white chick?
No.
Okay.
I have friends that were white.
Right, and I'm not going there. That racist at all. I'm just asking, your personal preference. Would you have dated a white female?
No, my girlfriend at the point in time, she was black.
Okay. Would you have hooked up with, had sex with one time a white female?
Well, I have sex with any female. I mean, being in the military, you go different places and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, but in 1984, could you have had a one-night stand with a white female?
No, because I was involved in a relationship.
Okay. And that's the one that you had your child with?
No.
No? Okay. When was your son born?
I'm thinking he was born in 85
Okay.
or 86.
January of 85.
Okay, 85.
Okay. So August of 84, you would have had, his mother would have already been pregnant at the time with your son in August of 84, because that's only, 4 months prior to, 4 months after the murder, so she would have had to have been pregnant at the time. So if she's pregnant, but that's not the one that you're involved with, correct?
Well, we were kind of like hooking up.
You and your son's mother?
Right.
Okay.
She went to a different duty station. And then I didn't know she was pregnant until she sent me a letter saying that she was pregnant. I guess it was, later on that year. And I was like, okay, then when you have the baby, then we do a blood test.
Mm-hmm.
But then when she had the baby, she disappeared because she was involved with someone else. And then I think she was in Charleston. I went up there, I guess, I can't even remember what date or what year. But when I went up there, I met her and my son. I didn't know he was my son, but I just assumed. And I bought Pampers and all that stuff up there with me.
Right.
And spend the night with them.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the car with another guy that she was dating at the time. So when I got there, I stayed there with her, but I stayed in the room with my son. And she came in a negligee, and she wanted to have, and I was like, no, I'm not here for that. I'm here to see him.
Right.
So once I established that, then I went back, and then she disappeared. I called her up and said, well, could you bring him down and let me spend time with him? She said, no, we don't need you anymore, because she was involved with another person.
Right.
She said, we don't need you anymore. So she disappeared for about so many years. I guess she was either 12 or 14 when I was up in Atlanta, and she went through the court system through Duval. And then they sent me a letter up there saying that, they want me to come back to court.
Do a paternity.
Right. And that's when I asked for the paternity test. And I said, because I don't know whether or not that's my son.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure. So we did the paternity test. It came back about a month later. And then they put me on arrears. I can't forget how long it took for the paternity test. I don't know whether it was a month or a few months, but it came back. And that's when they said, well, that's your child, 99.9%. And I said, okay, then what we're going to do now? So we're going to put you on child support payments, and we're going to have arrears from where everything started. So I think it was about a year or something like that when that finally came around. So I was paying child support up until the time he was 18.
Okay. All right. So going back to what I was talking about, you're saying that you would not have had sex with a white female at that time in 1984.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, not to your knowledge. Okay. I mean, you saw the picture. Would you remember if you had sex with her?
No, I wouldn't remember anybody if I never had a relationship with them. People like the lady that had the baby, I hadn't seen her in, I guess, 25, 30 years. I wouldn't even know what she looked like. If she was walking down the street, because we didn't have that, we didn't come back together and, after all that time. So
was that Deborah? Because you mentioned Deborah earlier.
Deborah she and I was dating before.
Before the, what is the name of the lady that had a baby?
Teresa Jones.
She was also in the Navy?
Yes.
Okay, so you were dating both of them?
No, we had broken. I had her and another lady after I broke up with Deborah, because she and I were living together. And then we had a disagreement, and I came back to Jacksonville, and I told her when I come back she should be gone, so she left. So my brother moved in for a little while, and then I started dating another lady. She was from Ethiopia, and she wasn't in the Navy.
Okay.
And then after that, I think it was like that other lady was Teresa, the third person.
So if you didn't have sex with our victim, Pamela Cahanas,
Mm-hmm.
how did your semen get on her?
Not semen.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm telling you, when she was found, there's semen on her. Okay, and they've taken that semen obviously and done analysis over the years, and it has very recently been proven that it is yours. It is your DNA. So how do you explain your semen on her?
I don't know. I don't know how that could be possible. I mean, this is bizarre. This is almost like the Twilight Zone.
So, Mr. Garner, I realize that this is not an easy thing to talk about. This is a big deal. But what we just told you is infutable. We know that you were with her. We know your DNA is on her. That cannot happen by chance. It's impossible. So this has been 35 years. You and I, we talked. I was being real with you. We talked about God. I do believe in God. I believe you believe in God. We talked about our parents, and that was the God's honest truth about my dad passing just a week ago.
Yeah.
All that. I'm being real with you. This is an opportunity to not live with this anymore, not to be burdened. If you're a man of God, I believe that this has got to be burdening you. This from so long ago when you were a young guy has got to be somewhere deep down inside you. It's got to be something that is eating at you, even if you don't realize it right now. And we talked about our parents. I mean, I would think your mom would want you to be the man that you want to be, and own up to something when we make mistakes. We all make mistakes.
No, that was not something that I would do, period. I would not do anything crazy like that. I wasn't like that when I was coming up. I'm not even like that now. So.
Well, I mean, we do, like he said, you can't dispute it. I mean, you can't dispute the science. We don't believe you were the only one involved. We do believe that somebody else was involved, and we were hoping that, again, like I was saying, this has to be some sense of relief. You have to have been looking over your shoulder for 35 years.
Listen, I don't have an idea.
Because the semen's not the only DNA on her, okay? Your DNA is under her fingernails as well. And the numbers are astronomical. It's like 1 in 82 billion chances it's anybody else. And there's not even that many people in the world. Not even close to that many people in the world. So like he's saying, you can't dispute the science, you can't dispute the numbers. It doesn't just get there by chance. So we know you were there. If it happened differently than the way that we feel it happened, that's what we want you to tell us.
I realize it's a wake-up call, but it's going to be proven that it's your DNA and that you were there. This is your opportunity to tell us the circumstances around it. And if anybody else was involved at all, why should you have to take the fall for it 100%? Because that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen to you if you don't take this opportunity to
Well,
talk
what I'm
to
going
us.
to do is maintain my innocence.
Okay.
And that's the way
How
it
can
is.
you do that?
How can I do that? Because I know that I wouldn't do anything that would cause anybody.
No, I'm saying, how can you prove your innocence?
Well, how can you prove that I'm not innocent?
We already have with DNA in multiple locations on her and multiple types of DNA. Like I said, we got the skin cells, we got the semen as well. So, I mean, it's, again, he's saying, I mean, you're there. You were there. If something happened differently, or you remember being with her and then you left and somebody else was still with her when you left her, tell us that.
I can't remember anything like that happening.
I would think you would remember if you killed somebody.
Yeah, I think you would.
Okay.
Of course you would. You wouldn't be able to, I guess the person with a conscience wouldn't be able to live with that.
Right.
But I would not, to me, I can't see myself being in a scenario like that.
Well, you were in the scenario with her because, again, we have your DNA. So if you're with her and then you left her with somebody else, you need to tell us that. And you need to tell us who that person was.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I really don't. I can't even think that far back in terms of how many people I've had sex with, and you know what I mean?
But I'm not concerned about anybody else. I'm concerned about
Yeah,
Pamela
I'm just
Cahanas.
saying, even
that's
with
that's
her.
who I'm concerned about.
Okay.
That's who we know you had some type of sexual encounter with, whether it was consensual or non-consensual. You've had a sexual encounter with her, and you're the last one with her, and your DNA is on her when she's found deceased.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, well, I'm telling you.
Yeah, but I'm saying in my mind, I can't remember any kind of transaction like that. I cannot. And I mean, I'm completely upset.
Look at her throat.
I can't see without my glasses.
That's her
I
throat.
can't see. I can see a little bit, but I can't really see without my
All
glasses.
right, we'll get you your glasses. I'm not getting
But if you guys
Where's your
continue,
keys?
What?
Where's your keys?
Tell us about, what about, you say there's been some issues in your past concerning maybe a little bit of a temper when it comes to girls, right? Some history. How about with your ex-wife? She filed an injunction against you?
well, she did that because she was trying to get me from getting the house. And she was, what I'm trying to say is that we had a disagreement. It was a nonviolent protection injunction. That's what it was, and then she dropped it.
Okay. So, did she lie?
Yeah, because her sister was a police officer. Which one are you talking about?
The one that filed the injunction against you.
Which
Domestic
one,
violence.
Pam?
I believe so.
Well, you've had two ex-wives,
Did
correct?
you have two different
Right.
injunctions?
No, I just had that. She was the one that filed a
No, what's Pam's last name?
Lawson.
Pamela Lawson?
Right.
And where does she live?
She lives in Atlanta.
Okay, we're talking about Adrian.
Adrian was to file a non-violent injunction on me so that I can move out the house, and that's what I told her. I told her I would move out. She didn't have to do that, and then she dropped it. So she did that based on trying to get me to move out of the house, because when we got married, she had a house.
And you moved in with her.
Well, yeah, we got married first, and then I moved in the house. This is coming out. Moved in the house with her, and then she had a second mortgage on the house. And she wanted to get the second mortgage off, and she realized I was making pretty decent money, and she asked me to co-sign and get the house back, put everything back into the mortgage, and we start over again. And then she wanted to bring up the fact that I married her because of the house. So I let her write a list of everything she wanted. And then we went up to the pastor to the church, and I had the pastor to look at everything as a witness, and she looked at it, and I put my signature on it, and then we went to the credit union, and we had it notarized, and I put my signature on it again to let her know that the relationship wasn't working, and I didn't want the house. She had 2 children, but it was a non-violent.
And then Pamela Lawson, hers was, she filed one as well?
Yeah, but it was non-violent.
Here
I'll show you
or
mine.
in
That's fine,
Atlanta?
just so you have this.
When she was in Atlanta, she asked me to come up there, to move up there. And her sister was a police officer, and she wanted to break up, try to get me to buy her mother's home at the time. And her mother and father wanted me to purchase the home with my VA, and I told them I didn't want to do it. And her mother said, well, I never did like you anyway. And then that's when the relationship started going like this. And I was working in Atlanta.
When were you married to her? Was it before or after Adrian?
I was married to her before.
Before? Do you
Right.
remember the dates?
No,
Do you remember, was Pamela white or black?
black.
And do you remember her date of birth?
No,
But she still lives in Atlanta?
yes,
And did you have any kids with her?
no,
Okay. So you've had no other kids?
no other kids.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we found an injunction from Adrian that says she woke up one night with your hand covering her mouth and nose.
No, it was a non-violent injunction.
Okay, well I'm saying that's what's in the injunction. Do you
Yeah,
remember
but
that?
she was lying. She's been physical with me, but she didn't put that in there. And what happened was relationship wasn't working out, and I told her that we could go ahead and get a divorce. And even I just seen her like what today is Tuesday, yesterday. No, Monday, and she was at the credit union, and she came over and gave me a hug, and she said, "God bless you." And I said, "How's the kids doing?" And she said, "He's doing great. One of them was in the military, the other one is in Seattle. They both married, got kids." And she gave me a hug, huh?
She's moved on. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah, we didn't end in that kind of way. I mean, when I got the divorce, I just said, hey, I just told her, listen, we don't have to fight over the house or anything. I said, I'll move out. So that was it. That's her 4th marriage. and she was on depressants. She was taking antidepressants, and she was accusing me of taking the lucid and the lug nuts on her car. And I said, why would I do that when I'm driving it? You know what I mean? I mean, she was hallucinating and all kind of stuff. I'd never been with somebody who was depressed and taking medications and you know, making up stuff.
Can you put your glasses on? This is her throat. The medical examiner said it was a very forceful strangulation.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about earlier at your place that imagine her parents, her family, that they buried her at 25 years old. She was a kid, and they have not had an answer to this for 35 years. Well, they now have an answer. At least they know who was involved. But if you could talk to us, tell us what happened. They don't have to envision the worst. They don't have to envision what they're going to envision.
I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you the same thing. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. How about, we talked about some of this history. Well, how about what happened between you and Sanders?
I told you he came to the door drunk one night, and he was banging on the door, and I asked him not to do that.
What I really want to ask you about is the movie theater incident in December of 1984.
Century 21 Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Involving a white female.
What happened?
All right, I'm going to read you this is his sworn testimony. This is what he testified to. And then I'm going to read you what you testified to.
Okay.
He wrote, I have known Petty Officer Garner about 1 year and 5 months. I know him from working with him and on social basis. A group of black males from the dental clinic went to Century 21 Theater this past Christmas. That was Christmas 1984. And a white lady came over, and we were talking, and they were trying to watch the movie, and she stated, would you boys kind of keep it down? We're trying to watch the movie. She went back to her seat. Petty Officer Garner got up, went over and said something to her. The next thing I know, he had grabbed her around the throat and flung her into a row of seats.
No.
I went over and grabbed Petty Officer Garner and restrained him and pushed him out the door, keeping the lady back who had grabbed 2 bottles that she was going to hit him with.
Do you recall that incident?
Yeah, I kind of vaguely recall it. I remember we sitting in there, and they said something to us, and I think I said something back, kind of snippy, and I think she threw some water or something on me, and I just pushed her back and everything. And I don't remember grabbing her or anything like that. But what did I say on there?
We had all gotten together and had decided to go to Century 21, which is a dinner-type movie theater. I wasn't feeling very well at the time, but I was just tagging along with them. Some of the guys were drinking and eating pizza. They became very boisterous and really loud in the theater, and there was a movie going on at the time. A lady came over and asked us boys if we could hold the noise down. She walked away. The guys were saying that she was a bitch. I told them that I was getting ready to go, and I went over to her table and told her that she didn't have to call us boys, but that she could have just asked that we keep the noise down. She jumped up and called me a goddamn nigger and took a beer mug with beer in it and threw it on me. I pushed her. Sanders came over and got between us and told her that she better put that beer mug down. We walked outside to leave, and she walked behind us and yelled to call the police. She was throwing ice or popcorn at us.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Sanders about this while in the brig, and he said that it was exaggerated to make me look bad, but it wasn't like that at all.
All right. I remember that situation because it was kind of like a silly, stupid kind of deal. You know, you could be somewhere and people can just do stuff and say things, but you said I put up my hand around her neck. I didn't put my hands around her neck.
Sanders said that.
Yeah, he was
Which is very particular. That's a very particular memory. I mean, obviously, it's a 35-year-old memory.
No. I remember little things that, like things that can be traumatic, that stand out. Yeah, I remember that. That was one of the things that he and I, once we got into that issue, him banging on the door, he was drunk. He was a pretty heavy drinker. And I was working outside at the convenience store and doing my job in the Navy at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had planned on getting out after that. My tour was up. It was up that year. I was going to be up that year. And he kept coming back, banging on the door real loud, because he was drunk and he was pretty, rowdy.
Mhm.
And then we got into a big fight. And then that's when everything transpired. That's what I was telling you. That was the worst thing. I think I made a bad decision when I did that because it changed my whole trajectory when I was, in the military, because I was going to just get out and go on about my business.
Right.
So, he come by drunk. This guy had been drinking all day, him and my roommate at the time, and it just got pretty bad. But he and I were, kind of off and on, kind of friends. We played football together and basketball. I remember one time I played him, and I beat him $50, and, he paid me. And there was no major stuff, but as far as that night,
Did you guys do any drugs back then?
No, I didn't mess
Anything
with
at all?
drugs.
Never messed with drugs at all?
I didn't even drink that much. I was
The scene photos?
I was a social drinker pretty much. I wasn't really like one of them kind of people that, would go out and drink all the time or kept beer around or anything like that.
All right, so Mr. Garner, I know we can go round and round like this.
Yeah,
But
we
I
sure
I
can.
hope you understand. I hope you understand what we're telling you.
Well,
You're facing a first-degree murder charge. First degree. That's premeditated murder.
hmm
And we can prove that you were with her sexually when she died. This is your opportunity. You gotta recognize that.
Well, I don't know.
And you need to tell us what else happened and let us mitigate the situation and figure out, especially if anybody else is involved. Why should you have to take the 100% hit on this if anybody else was around?
Well, the only thing I see is that we keep going back and
Yeah.
forth with this thing, and maybe I might need to have an attorney because it's you saying one thing and I'm saying another thing.
Okay,
So
I got you.
that would be the case. I get an attorney. Hopefully, I don't have the kind of money it takes to get one of them real powerful attorneys that
Sure.
can make you guys prove everything to the reasonable doubt that I was anyway involved in any kind of craziness like what you're saying.
Right. Okay.
I've had some situations going, but I don't have a police record. I don't have I've never been trying to hide myself. I've been given my fingerprints. Everything else, I don't have a history of any kind of situation. So we have to do what we have to do. And I have to get an attorney that can show me what my rights are. I invited you guys to come into my home. You come in and we talked. And then I come outside and right in front of my neighbors, you guys pulled weapons on me and, humiliated me out there in front of everybody. And I'm like, man, this is just incredible. It's like I can't even fathom anything like this going on in my life. So I would get an attorney and we would have to fight this thing to get myself proven innocent. And I guess my life from this point on out is going to be ruined no matter what.
That's not for us to decide.
Well,
but,
that's what I'm saying.
so
you guys-
let me just tell you what's going to happen because
Sure.
you are read your rights and
Sure.
you waive those rights, but now, which is your right to go back and you would like to see an attorney.
Right, because I want to make sure
I got
that
you.
my rights are, that I have representation, somebody who can legally represent me
I got you.
in a way that,
So we're going to cease asking any more questions about this. What we're going to do is we're going to transport you to the Seminole County Jail, where you will be booked on first-degree murder, and then you'll see a judge, and you'll have a time. They'll explain your rights to you.
Tomorrow at 1:30 will be your first appearance.
okay,
And then you're going to, then they'll work out all the, between the prosecutors and stuff. They'll, if you need a public defender, then they'll get you a public defender. If you have an attorney, then that's when all that will take place. Does that make sense?
we got to do what we got to do.
Okay. So just just relax. You have some water. We'll get you ready for transport. Okay? Then we'll go. Sorry, we had to meet under these
That's okay.
circumstances.
You gotta do what you gotta do. I have no idea what you're talking about, and we will have to deal with it whatever way you guys need to deal with it, so I can get myself back in the real world. It was like the most humiliating thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life.
Is there anybody that see if a couple guys can hang out? Do you need a restroom or anything?
Not right now.
Okay.
It's a 2-hour drive. Might as well, if you go now.
Bill, which restroom?
You have to come. I think you have to come all the way through. Just the door.
No one knows anymore.
Oh, sorry.
You guys are here.
They all went there.